Hi, everybody. Welcome to the iSpring Solutions webinar series, where every week we talk about e-learning trends, iSpring tips and tricks, and we cover clients' cases. I'm Paulina Ionina, a community manager at iSpring, and I will be the moderator for today's session, where we will talk about iSpring Learn LMS and what new has been added to it. And we will cover one quite big feature, but let's wait for a moment until I pass the mic over to my colleague, Nancy Clark, who is a project manager here at iSpring, and she will be happy to present this new feature to you today. Okay, I think at this point I'm ready to pass the mic over to you, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Paulina. So let me quickly share my screen and turn my camera off. Hello, everyone. My name is Nancy. I'm a project manager at iSpring, and I will be presenting for you today. Today, I'm thrilled to share some great news with you. We released a 360-degree performance appraisal module for iSpring Learn LMS. This brand new module will help you assess employees' competencies objectively to bring the maximum benefit to your company. Before we start our webinar, I would like to know who is joining us today. Do you assess employee in your company in any way, maybe with Google Forms or paper-based surveys? Could you please let us know in the chat? Thank you so much for sharing. So, as far as I can see, some of you already do employee appraisals, but many of you do not have this practice in their companies. So, in this webinar, we are going to talk about first, what a 360-degree feedback assessment is and what we can use it for. Second, who benefits from this functionality? Third, how the performance appraisal module works in iSpring Learn. Fourth, the practical part, how to launch a performance review for sales representatives from scratch. And the last, how to understand assessment reports for future use in your working practices. Now let's talk about what 360-degree feedback assessment is. Actually, it's a process through which feedback from an employees, subordinates, colleagues, and supervisors, as well as a self-evaluation by the employee themselves, is gathered. All evaluations are anonymous, so your employees won't know who evaluated them. Now let's look at how we can use a 360-degree feedback assessment. First, this new module will show you how well a person fits their position. iSpring Learn analyzes the evaluation of supervisors, colleagues, and subordinates, as well as their self-analysis, so you can view an employee from different perspectives and see how well they perform in their job responsibilities. Second, you can create an individual development plan for the employee. iSpring Learn can show an employee's strengths, hidden potential, and areas that need development in the form of visual competency reports. You will be able to assess them in real time and decide whether to promote them or change their position. Third, iSpring Learn will anonymously gather feedback on a particular employee, which allows you to identify unperceived conflicts in the team, and you will see what colleagues, subordinates, and supervisors really think of the employee. That will help you to avoid impersonal friction by providing the employee with a timely feedback. Now let's cover who should use this functionality. If you are an HR manager or the head of a department or organization, or your work includes building working relationships in your workplace, you will find this module useful. Now let's see how this module works when evaluating sales representatives. First, you need to create competencies that your employees will be evaluated on. For example, it can be product knowledge, client-facing skills, and personal traits. A specific set of competencies can be combined into groups to organize the competency structure in your iSpring Learn account. Each competency consists of several indicators. For example, client-facing skills competency will consist of three indicators. The first one is active listening, the second one is empathy, and the third one is persuasion. Then, several competencies should be combined into one competency profile. For example, sales representative profile. Next, you need to create a questionnaire and add one or more competency profiles. After the evaluation process begins, the questionnaire will be sent to selected people who your employee work with. iSpring Learn will analyze the responses and generate a report. Based on this report, you can determine the strengths and weaknesses of the employee and assess their competence for and suitability of their position. Before we proceed to the practical part, I would like to know if you have any questions.
Raul is asking, when could we expect this feature?
So this feature is available now. So we released it about, I suppose, 2 weeks ago. So it's available in your accounts, but probably my colleague Paulina, who is in the chat, will
Mm-hmm.
provide you with further assistance at this point.
Much for this.
So it would be easier. Okay, in this case, we are more than ready to proceed to the practical part. So, and now let's take a look at how to evaluate your employees step by step. In the side menu, you will see a new section, which is Performance Appraisal. The first thing you need to do is to decide how you want to evaluate your employees. To do this, you will need to create a rating scale by choosing Rating Scales on the left menu and then clicking on New Scale. You can name your scale up here. So for example, in our case, it will be a 3-level scale. We can add different levels of proficiency down here and assign points for each level on the right. Today, we will add a 3-level scale that will include 3 levels. Just let me quickly copy and paste some of them here. So the first one will be below expectation. The second one is meeting expectation, and the last one is exceeding expectation. Then I need to assign points on the right. So for example, for below expectation, it will be 0 points. If the person meet expectation, we will give them 1 point. And for exceeding expectation, it will be 2 points. You can decide how many levels to add, but there should be at least 2 of them. Then let's click on Create to add a new scale to our profile. You can create multiple scales and then use them to rate different competencies. In today's webinar, we only need this 3-level scale. So now let's move on to competencies. A sales representative, for instance, needs to know how to work with clients, have specific personal traits, and know the product well. These are competencies. I have already created 2 of them, which is personal traits and client-facing skills. Now let's create a new competency as an example. To do this, we need to click on New Competency at the top right corner. Then we need to fill out the name and the description. So just to save time, I have already prepared a document. So I will just copy and paste the name and the description of the competence. Then we can select a group. If you have a lot of competencies created in your account and you want to combine them in some ways, so for example, soft skills and hard skills, But in our case, we don't have any groups and we don't have a lot of competencies, so we can leave it as it was. Then we need to select a scale. So from this drop down list, and in our case, it will be 3-level scale. And decide if you want to, for the competency, to be rated by levels or by indicators. Today, we are going to look at indicator-based competency assessment. Now let's click on Create. Next, we need to add indicators to our new competence by clicking on Add Indicator. I will name it. So just let me quickly copy the name of this indicator. And then I will need to add the description of each level so my viewers can have a better understanding of each of the levels. So I will copy it from the below expectation level, another description for meeting expectation, and one more for exceeding expectation. So now let's click on Create button to add this indicator to our competency. And also we need to add the second indicator, which will be ability to emphasize key information, which is also important for sales representatives. So I will copy and paste the name of the indicator, and then I will add some descriptions of the levels. So, and for the last one, it will be exceeding expectation. All right, when we are all done, we can click on Create. And now our competency consists of 2 indicators. The first one is knowledge of product functionality, and the second one is ability to emphasize key information. All right, now let's hop back to look at competency profiles. To do this, we need to click on Back to Competencies and then go to Competency Profiles on the left menu. Here is where you can outline each position's set of competency. By creating a new profile, just click on it, and here I will add the name for my new profile, which is Sales Managers. All right, then I need to click on Create to add this profile to my account. And now we need to add competencies. So I will click where it says Add Competencies. And then we need to select competencies with all indicators, or we can select just some of them like this. So for example, if for this profile, we don't need to know about the stress resistance of this employee, we can just select other ones and disregard this one. But for our profile, we will select all of them. And then we need to click on Add. Now our profile is ready and we can go and create a review. To do this, I'm going to Performance Reviews. And here we need to click on New Review to create a questionnaire for our employees. So I will name this review. I'll just copy and paste the name and the description. Then we need to select an assessment manager from the drop-down list. This is the person who is in charge of assessment process in your company. If the review is conducted by your colleague, grant them specific rights to run a review in user management. So if you want to know more about this topic, just tell me in the chat and I will be happy to cover it during the Q&A. So for now, I will select Paulina as an assessment manager, and then I will need to click on Create. Now we need to add detailed instructions here. Describe everything that is important for the review. It can be goals, deadlines, and anonymity of responses. And just to save time, I will just copy it from my document and paste it here. Then we need to select a competency profile. So we can select just one for one review. So I will select our sales manager's profile that we've just created. All right. And down here, you can add some open-ended questions to get detailed feedback on the employee. So for example, I will add this question. So it will be thinking about the employee you are evaluating. Where do you see the areas of opportunity for improvement? So, all right, and the questionnaire is ready. And now let's click on Preview Questionnaire to see what it looks like. As you can see, each competency, for example, client-facing skills, includes several indicators. So, for example, it's active listening, empathy, persuasion. Here, reviewers can choose the most accurate answer that describes the competence of the employee. For example, this one. Also, they can leave a comment if they want to comment their answer, or choose the answer I don't know if they are not sure. The answers don't know are not taken into account when forming statistics. Now let's go back to choose who we want to evaluate. To do this, please go to the Employees tab and select Add Participants. You can locate an employee by name, evaluate an entire department, or select people by job title. So, for example, I will evaluate my sales team in Europe. So, I will just need to click on Add, and all of them appear in this window. All right, now I can click on Next and select who will perform this review. If feedback is given from all sides, such as manager, peers, direct reports, and employee themselves, then method is called 360-degree feedback. Let's turn on switches, like for self-evaluation. Then we can select manager for these three employees, like for example, it will be Alice. Then we need to select several peers and direct reports. Then we can click on Next and check the results. So here you can see all of the relationships between these colleagues. So now we can click on Add to add our employees. All users who will be evaluated are shown here on this tab. And if you would like to see a list of all reviewers, just switch to the Reviewers tab. Now we can click on Start Review to start the survey. Now everyone you have chosen will be sent notifications and a link to the questionnaire. They will fill out the form and you can follow the progress of the survey up here. Here you will see the information about the review progress, form completion, and how many employees have been evaluated so far. Once all of the selected reviewers have evaluated all of the employees who have been earmarked for review, you will need to close the review. Just click on this and then click on Finish. Now it's time to view the results. To do this, I will open another account where a similar evaluation has been done before. You can see the individual reports here under the Reports column. So let's look at this one. The personal report provides a summary of the particular employee competencies. It's a table that shows information about the level of competencies gathered by feedback from an employee manager, peers, customers, direct reports, as well as a self evaluation performed by the employee itself. You can also view the overall assessment and compare it to the requirements of the job position. This table shows the grades for the individual indicators as well as their average value per competence. If one of the reviewers left a comment, you will see a special icon and you can click on it to look at this. All comments on the evaluation are displayed anonymously. Next, you can find the analysis block. In the first section, you will see evidence strengths. These are the areas that the employees perform in and receive the highest score from reviewers. As far as we can see, there are no such strengths for our employee. So we can move on to the greatest strengths. This includes the attributes that received the highest score from the employee's surroundings and are considered to be the employee key strengths. The next section is areas for improvement. The first section is evident areas of improvement. It lists competencies that have received low ratings from both the person being assessed and their environment. These are competencies that everyone considers to be weaknesses that this employee needs to develop. Then you can find development opportunities. This includes the attributes that received the lowest score from the employee's surroundings and are considered to be the employee's weaknesses that should be developed. Then we can find hidden strengths. These are areas in which the employee underestimates themselves, evaluating their competencies to be inferior to their surroundings. So these are the strengths that the employee probably isn't aware of. Then we can see blind spots. This is areas There are areas in which the employee being evaluated overestimate their own skills. It's more likely that the employee should focus on developing them. The next block is open-ended feedback. This lists the anonymous responses from all respondents. This report can be printed or saved as a PDF. In addition, iSpring Learn generates a summary report for all review participants. To look at this, we need to go back to Review and switch to Result tab. Here we can see the big picture for all review participants. Here you can compare the compensity level of various employees. You can use this information to create individual employee development plans as well as one-on-one meetings to give feedback to the employee. Now you can manage an employee performance with a 360-degree feedback review using iSpring Learn. And also, I need to mention that this functionality is also available in our mobile app. I hope this webinar was helpful for you, and now we are ready to move on to the Q&A session.
Nancy, thank you so much for this presentation. I hope that that was helpful to our today's attendees. And if you have any questions regarding this feature, you are more than welcome to send them in the chat right now because after the Q&A, we will be wrapping up our session. So the first one that I would like to address is from Trey. Are the open comments from the raters that are included in the report shown exactly as they are entered by the rater?
Yes, this is exactly what you can see in reports, and all of them are anonymous, so you will not be able to see who exactly wrote this comment there, but like the text of this comment will be exactly that this person wrote
Hmm. Thanks so
under
much.
this rating.
And Ron is asking, has there been any updates for training certificates to automatically include the learner's name and course title? Do you know by any chance?
It's a good question actually. But it's not related to this feature, I suppose. Regarding certificates, so just one quick second. Mhm.
Yeah, and I would like, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I am not sure now, but I can check this information with our product development team regarding certificates because for now
Hmm.
I'm not
Hmm.
sure about this
Thank
functionality
you.
in the future.
And what roles have the permission to this feature?
So actually, if you are an account administrator or an account owner, you have this permission by default. But if you have like an assessment manager at your company, you can assign this role to them. But before this, you need to create it in your profile. So let me quickly show you how you can do this. To do this, you need to go to users and then select roles. Now you need to create a new role here, enter a role name, like for example, assessment manager. And then here at the bottom of the screen, you will see a special section, which is performance appraisal. And here you can select what this person can do with this special custom role. And for example, here I will name it.
Mm.
And we can also like add some description here. And then we need to click on save. I'm sorry. So it can be like example. I don't know. You can come up with any description you want. All right. And now you can assign this role for one of the employees. So you need to select this employee. I'm sorry. Then select access level and add role. And here you will see this assessment manager role that we've just created. You will need to assign this role. Click on save. Sorry. Uh, And for now, this user will have the opportunity to
Hmm.
launch performance appraisal to your company.
Thank you so much. And also, Surab responded to Ron that currently iSpring Learn certificates automatically add learners' names and course name. We use it. Thank you so much for sharing that info.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
any other
Mhm.
questions? Um, Raul is asking, would you be able to share what is coming up next? A sneak peek? Anything you can share, Nancy?
So we will also improve on this feature, and also pretty soon, I suppose in a week or so, we will release a new feature that will be supervisor dashboard. And we will also have a new webinar about this feature, so
Yes.
you can join us a little bit later. So I suppose Pauline will send you links, to join us in a new webinar. But this feature will be pretty soon, and it will be maybe even more interesting than performance
Mm-hmm.
appraisal. But
Thanks so
you
much for
still
sharing.
should try both.
Okay, I think that at this point we are more than ready to wrap up our session. I would like to thank everybody for coming today, for listening about um, all the information about the new feature added to iSpring Learn LMS. And I'd like to thank you, Nancy, for sharing this info with our today's attendees. I would like to wish everybody a lovely day, and I will see you at the next webinar. Bye, everybody, and bye, Nancy.